Hello, friends. Welcome to the webinar on low-cost IT resilience, building IT disaster recovery on Azure. I'm Nitin Sharma, and what you see in the photograph is my clean-shaven avatar, a younger avatar. I look after sales for Hurix. I've been with the company for around 5 years, but I come with more than two decades of experience in the edtech world, and I am today joined by my colleague, actually a veteran in the cloud services space, Nitesh. I would let him introduce himself.
Thanks, Nitin. Hello, everyone. I'm Nitesh Kumar. I have been in IT industry for more than 20 years, and for last 10 years, I have been working for Microsoft Azure Cloud. I have seen Microsoft Azure evolving from a very naive stage and getting matured year and year. And in last 10 years, we have developed numerous services and infrastructure and solutions for our global customers. So I have been part of Hurix for last 6 months. And as part of this discussion, we will be talking about one of the use case that is building a low cost disaster recovery site on it. Over to you, Nathan.
Thank you. So before Nitesh deep dives into the specifics of how we can help you achieve that, please allow us to very briefly touch upon who we are as an organization and what we bring to the table. So as a company, Hurix was found way back in the year 2000. So we have more than 2 decades of experience in the edtech space. In these more than 2 decades, we have actually spread our wings and opened up offices in the US, Europe, Middle East, besides India, where we are catering to more than 250 customers. And to help us do that, we have put together a team of more than 700 very specific specialists, including Nitesh. What we actually bring to the table can be broadly categorized into 4 or 5 buckets. First is the learning content. We support workforce training and we can develop custom e-learning content to achieve that. We can also support organizations in content transformation. We create bespoke technology solutions. We do entire product engineering, DevOps, and also we can offer cloud platforms like Kitabu, which is an ebook platform we have to offer. On cloud services, Nitesh is going to talk about in more detail. But before that, let me also quickly tell you on the next slide the kind of partners we have. So we work across the spectrum, right from enterprise to K-12, higher education bodies, as well as associations. And within the enterprise, there are again a very wide spectrum of industry verticals that we touch. You can see on the slide here some of the marquee logos that we are already working closely with, and we are very eager to understand your requirement, your pain point with regards to cloud services and see how we can also partner with you. With that brief introduction, let me bring in Nitesh to walk you through the details of the topic for the webinar today. Over to you, Nitesh.
Thanks, Nathan. So, hello, everyone. And before we have a deep dive into the nitty-gritty of IT disaster recovery on Azure, let's have a look at the disaster recovery as a concept. So, disaster recovery is nothing but a set of methods, practices, and technology that business organizations, or better to say, organizations or IT organizations, use to restore their IT services in case of any technological or natural disaster. Primarily, people at large follow two approach when it comes to designing or building disaster recovery site for their IT services. They go for either active site, meaning they build two sites of IT services. One site is primary, another site is secondary, and both sites are up and running at any given point of time. I mean, whenever a user uh, asks for a service to be accessed, then the traffic can go to any of the site in real time, depending on the load or the nature of the traffic the user is trying to generate. Uh, in case the primary site is down, the entire traffic is redirected automatically to the secondary. In this case, as you have to maintain two sites at any given point of time, there are two set of IT services running at two different data centers. Then the cost of IT services happen to be high, but you get the benefit of lowest RTO and RPO. RTO, recovery time objective. This is a time taken to restore from or recover from disaster, and RPO, that is recovery point objective. This is the amount of data a business organization or IT organization is supposed to lose in case of disaster. And usually, this RTO and RPO both are measured in terms of time. So, as both the sites are up and running at any given point of time, one of them is down, the entire user traffic is directed to another one. So, RTO and RPO are negligible. But you have to bear the high cost of IT infrastructure and services. The another option is active passive disaster recovery site. In this case, there is one primary site that is running all the time and serving all the requests coming from the user. And the same site is getting replicated to somewhere, maybe on cloud or somewhere on another on-premise data center. And in case of any disaster at the primary, you need to do a failover to the secondary. In this case, the IT cost is low because at one point of time, only one site is operational and another one is just getting replicated. When I say replicated, your systems are just getting copied over there. Uh, but the RTO and RPO, that is uh, time taken to recover from the disaster and the amount of data at risk will be slightly high. So these are the two approaches. As part of this discussion, we will be talking about active passive disaster recovery site. And we will make sure that despite having an active passive disaster recovery site on site, how you can have a low RTO and RPO. This is the beauty of Azure. And we will explain how you can exploit that beauty to keep your IT operation cost or IT cost low while maintaining low RTO and RPO for your IT services. So this is the basic introduction of IT disaster recovery as a practice. Before I move further, I would like to leave you with one surprising and uh, disturbing fact. According to Gartner, 70% of the business organizations are not having reliable disaster recovery site due to budget constraint. As we all know that in today's time, almost all aspect of a business is dependent on IT services. But despite that, there are almost 70% of organizations who are not having an adequate disaster recovery site due to budget constraint. And this way, they have or they are exposing their business organization or businesses to numerous uh, risks. So let's move to the next part of our discussion and talk about what are those risks and how much it can cost to a business organization if the disaster happens. So these are some of the risks. The very first risk I would like to emphasize is cost of downtime. If a business organization is not having uh, adequate disaster recovery site, then there will be outages during disasters. And those outages can cost a business organization from somewhere between $140,000 to $540,000 per hour. The amount of this loss depend on numerous factors, many factors, like the kind of industry you are doing your business, the size of your company, the criticality of your business operations. These are the factors will be determining the amount that you will be losing per hour. But it is sure that somewhere in between, your business organization will be losing some way or the other. And we are not saying that. This, these statistics are coming from Gartner, and we all know Gartner's is a reliable business analyst, and their reports and forecasts set the tone of businesses for next couple of years. So all these forecasts are coming via different reports from Gartner. The second risk, because of inadequate disaster recovery site, is revenue impact. Whenever there are outages across the year, a business organization is supposed to have a flat revenue loss of 1 to 2% as part of their annual revenue. Third risk is cybersecurity vulnerabilities. If a business organization is not having an IT disaster recovery in place, then in case of any disaster, cybersecurity attack like ransomware and all, the business organization is supposed to lose 4.6 million per incident. The next risk due to lack of improper disaster recovery is loss of market share. If any business organization is not having disaster recovery site, I mean the IT disaster recovery properly built in their IT organization, then those businesses are supposed to lose approximately 15 to 25% of their market share year on year. Customer attrition is another risk. Any significant IT failure uh, can make you lose 20% of your key customers. And last but not the least is fines and legal costs. If you are an organization doing business in certain regulated business environment, like in finance and healthcare, then you are supposed to comply many regulatory requirements. In such a environment, if IT disaster happens and you are not recovering from the same in a timely manner, then you will be losing somewhere between 500,000 to 2 million per incident. And this will happen because of data loss or downtime related to your poor disaster recovery site implementation. So, friends, these are the alarming statistics Gartner has highlighted. And as I said in the beginning, that this data is coming from Gartner, one of the leading business analysts of the world. And Gartner very often does this kind of forecast, and their forecast set the tone of the business said for next couple of years. So these are the risks a business organization have when they do not put adequate IT disaster recovery in place. Moving to the next part of our discussion, the biggest question is how we can overcome all these challenges. And the answer is very simple, by putting a disaster recovery site in place as part of your business. If you are having a budget constraint, and that is going to be the theme of this webinar. If you are having a budget constraint, you can very well go ahead and have a reliable disaster recovery site on Azure. You can go for Azure active passive disaster recovery solution. And that will not only be a cost effective one, a pocket friendly one, but also we will be giving you the least or the lowest possible uh, recovery time objective, that is nothing but the time to recover from the outage, and the RPO. It will also ensure that in case of disaster, you will be losing least amount of your business data. So let's move to the next part of our discussion and just have a look how your active passive disaster recovery site will look like on Azure. So this is how active passive IT disaster recovery solution will look like on Azure. As I said, as part of active passive disaster recovery approach, that in this approach, there will be one site that will be primary, and that site will always be up and running. And there will be another site that will be on cloud, and this site will be getting replicated in real time from the active site. Here, we will be exploiting the capabilities of Azure services. And those services are Azure doesn't mandate that if you build a passive solution, passive disaster recovery solution on cloud, your entire set of services are not required to be running all the time. Basic set of services like your network services. So if you look at this diagram, your firewall will be up and running all the time. Your identity and access management services will be running all the time. If you are having databases as part of your IT services and that are running in a always on mode to ensure high availability, then they are also supposed to be running all the time. But all your web servers, application servers, and rest of the server that you have as part of your application pool, they are not supposed to be running all the time. They will be getting replicated in real time. And whenever there will be an outage at your primary site, that is on premise, you just need to fail over those services to your secondary site or disaster recovery site on cloud. And at that point of time, all these services that you see over here in black color will be started and they will start running. Why I was saying that building a disaster recovery site on Azure will give you a very cost effective solution because uh, few set of services will be running all the time and those services will be network services, identity and access management services like your Active Directory or domain controller servers, and database servers that are in high availability mode. Rest of the servers and compute resources will be just in replication mode. And when a service will be just in replication mode, they will be simply getting copied to Azure, and you just need to pay for the cost of storage. You don't need to pay for the compute resources like uh, CPU, memory, and RAM. These resources will be just in just getting copied, and they will be activated when there will be a disaster at your primary site. Uh, to establish connectivity between these two sites, you can go for either simple IPsec VPN, or if you need to transfer a lot of data between these two sites, then you can also go for express route kind of solution. Uh, the entire replication between these two sites will be taken care of by a Azure service called Azure Site Recovery. So, friends, this is a very high level diagram, and we did not build a low level diagram purposely so that all sort of audience can make sense out of it. But I hope this must have given you a clarity that this is how you can build a reliable and cost effective disaster recovery site on Azure by harnessing the power of Microsoft, Microsoft Cloud, or better to say, Microsoft Azure. And this power is that all the major part of your IT services will be just in replication mode. They will not be up and running, and they will be up and running when you need it. So this is how your IT disaster recovery site will look like. As part of the next part of my discussion, I would like to take you through one of the real use case that is that we implemented for one of our customers. So let's move to that part. So recently we built similar solution for one of our customers. The customer was a FMCG retail chain, and they were having 500 stores across US, having a revenue of 800 million plus. Due to their budget constraint, they have not been as investing in their secondary um, on-premise site. And due to that, their secondary IT site was kind of outdated and they were not maintaining pace with modern days IT services. And whenever there used to be a disaster and they were trying to fail over their primary data center to the secondary one, many of their mission critical applications either were not working at all or were taking a lot of time to fail over. When we came across this customer, we built similar kind of solution that I presented as part of the previous slide. And we ensured some of the business outcome for the customer, like we ensured 30 minutes of RTO and RPO. That means whenever there will be an outage, the customer will be failing over their services to the secondary site that is on Azure, and all those services will be up and running within 30 minutes. We also ensured that even in worst case, the customer will not be losing more than 30 minutes of data. The amount of money the customer was spending maintaining their on-premise secondary data center, almost 50% reduction we caused moving their secondary data center to Azure. So this is an over a period of time, the customer took a decision to decommission their secondary data center. So this way, they removed the cost of their secondary data center from their IT cost center. This particular case study is publicly published on our website. Right after this webinar, this particular presentation will be shared with you by our marketing team, so you can make a quick visit over there. So, friends, this is a real case. This is the real project that we recently executed for one of our customer, right? So, since the beginning of our discussion, you must be hearing one thing from me and Nitin continuously that we are going to talk about a cost-effective disaster recovery site on Azure. So, how much that particular cost will look like? As part of my next discussion, I will help you understand how much tentatively or approximately you will have to spend if you build something similar kind of solution for your business. So let's move to the next part of the discussion. So friends, this is the indicative cost, and this cost is uh, calculated under assumption that any business organization who is having approximately 50 servers and a similar number of other IT infrastructure component like the two domain controllers, one SQL Server always on cluster, and two virtual appliances as firewall running in high availability on their primary side, then this is going to be the cost. So if you look at the cost, my friend, the cost will be 15,343. And as I said, this is an indicative cost under this impression that if the volume of customer on-premise infrastructure is up to 50 servers and certain related IT components, then building an passive disaster recovery site on Azure will be costing approximately 15,000 per month. This cost can be further optimized. There are numerous number of cost optimization measures that any cloud services offers, and Microsoft is pretty good in that. One of the measure is reserving your instance. So if you reserve your instance, then you can bring the cost by $3,000 per month. So if you reserve your instance for 1 year, then your cost will be $12,000 approximately. If you reserve it for 3 years, then the same cost will be going 11,250 per month. And as I have been saying again and again, that this cost is indicative, depending on the nature or the complexity or simplicity of your primary site on that is on premise. This cost may go up or down accordingly. So if you look at the cost is quite negligible. If you compare this cost compared to the losses highlighted by Gartner, that if you do not have a reliable disaster recovery site, maybe on cloud, maybe on Azure or anywhere, you need to be prepared to lose that much of money, as I highlighted, like $140,000 per hour in case of any outage. So, friends, this is the indicative cost, and if you look at, and you will have to agree that this cost is nothing compared to the losses your business will have in case of any disaster failure. Now, I will be talking about what best practices you will have to follow to maintain your disaster recovery site once it is built. So some of the measures I have mentioned over here as part of my experiences. But before I talk about it, I would like to give you one thought that disaster recovery solution or building a disaster recovery solution and maintaining it is not a one-time activity. It is not a one and done kind of methodology. It is a journey. It is not a destination. Once you build your Azure, you will have to keep testing it. You will have to execute quarterly drills. You will have to observe the timeline, that how much time it took to do a smooth failover. What are the challenges you had in between, so that you can optimize. Besides that, any cloud platform like Azure, where you will be building your disaster recovery site, is evolving day by day. There are newer services coming up over there, and the new one are better resilient, better capability having, they are having better capability and cost effective. So if you do not look at your disaster recovery solution quarter on quarter and compare it to the modern days uh, possibilities, then you will be losing the game. So disaster recovery solution is not a destination, it's a journey. You will have to keep the momentum on and on while executing these best practices. The first best practice you need to take care of is you need to leverage the capability of Azure Site Recovery because this tool is evolving day by day. I have seen this tool evolving a lot in last 6 7 years. Backup services are also improving, so you need to make best use of the Azure backup services. Reserve instances and the power of reserve instances, you looked at it at the tentative cost slide. If you reserve your instance for 1 year or 3 years, the cost will be coming down remarkably. Once you build your disaster recovery site on Azure, you just need to keep looking at the utilization of the resources over there, and you can optimize the resources uh, looking at the statistics of their utilization. There are numerous or different level of data storage solution on Azure. So, and your business also requires different kind of data to be accessed at different frequency and different speed. So you don't need to select the top tier data services for every type of data. So you need to be very selective at what kind of data tier you need to select while taking a decision to store your data on cloud. You should also make best use of automation services like automation script and resource management tools for your disaster recovery management, right? And as I said, that building a disaster recovery site anywhere, be it on cloud or on premise, is not a one-time activity. You need to monitor it, you need to analyze it, and you need to optimize it over a period of time because it is a journey, it is not a destination. And if you do it with this philosophy, then you will be ensuring not only a resilient, but a very cost effective disaster recovery solution for your business organization. Having said that, I will pass it on to Nitin now for any question.
Thank you, Nitesh, for that detailed walkthrough of what can be achieved uh, when it comes to disaster recovery sites. Uh, I would let the attendees to start with ask if they have any questions. Otherwise, I have a couple of my own. I don't know if their audio is enabled, but they can always type in. Okay, while they are doing that or trying to do that, let me share with you a couple of questions of my own. So, Nitesh, you spoke about cloud consumption cost, but when it comes to implementing a disaster recovery site like the one that you spoke about on Azure, what is the project implementation cost?
Yeah, Nitin, it depends on uh, many factors, and the primary factor is the simplicity or the complexity of the on-premise or the primary disaster, a primary site of the customer concern. But in my experience, I have seen project getting completed somewhere between $20,000 to $50,000. So you can consider $20,000 on the lower side and $50,000 on the higher side to build a active passive disaster recovery site on Azure.
Okay, and the next logical question would be the time involved to implement something like that.
Now again, if the solution is a straightforward and simple, it can be done in 4 weeks. If it is complex, it can go up to 6 to 7 weeks.
Mhm. Now, once you've made that investment, Nitesh, and suppose after you have this disaster recovery site in place, and there is a disaster that takes place, could be a ransomware attack, could be anything, right? So, what is the time involved to recover from that disaster if a DR site is already in place?
So if If the disaster recovery approach is active-passive, that the one that I presented as part of architecture diagram, then 30 minutes is the maximum time we consider. Within 30 minutes, all services will be up and running on the disaster recovery side, that is on Azure. That is the maximum time limit we consider.
Wow. Okay. Uh, I don't think we have any questions from any of the attendees. But in case you have some question and you want to write to us, we have given a couple of email addresses here. You can write to me on nitin.sharma@hurix.com, or you can also write to our marketing team at marketing@hurix.com. Right? We'll be happy to address any questions that may come to your mind even at a later stage. With that, we'll have a wrap on this session. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Okay, we have. Okay, sure, Varemu. We'll look forward to your mail with the questions. Thank you so much for attending. Greetings to you in Nairobi. Okay, so maybe let's give 1 more minute for attendees to ask their questions and before we wrap it up. Okay, looks like no questions for the time being. We'll look forward to hearing from you on the mail in that case. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Nitesh, for such
Thanks,
a
Nitin. Thank you,
detailed
everyone.
discussion. Yeah,
Have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
bye-bye.